right here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another masterclass. If you were with us yesterday, you saw us launching our TikTok ad study. And today we have a special guest. Kerbens is here to walk us through building a timeless personal brand. So, Kerbens, if you want to introduce yourself, go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Kerbens Boisette. I am the founder of Booztbrand, which is a digital marketing agency that helps entrepreneurs, creators, marketers leverage the personal brand for not only personal growth, but business growth. So we'll get into it, and I'll tell a little bit about myself as I get into the presentation, but I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah, we met Kerbens when we were at Social Media Marketing World, and just loved, connecting with other digital marketers and creators in our space, and just love your kind of knowledge on personal branding, and how that can also help not only in your kind of personal career, but helping your brand or whatever business you work for. So yeah, really excited to jump into this. And yeah, if everyone wants to just kind of drop where they're listening from, what they're most excited for, also where you're kind of at on your personal brand. I know that we'll have, kind of people all over the map, but just to kind of give us some insight in what you're looking for. And yeah, really excited.
Yeah, like Aniston mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Anything that you're unsure about, I will try my best to answer. Great. Great. So welcome. Like I mentioned, I work with Booztbrand, and essentially we're a digital agency that focuses on helping entrepreneurs, creators, founders build their personal brand online so they can leverage it for their personal growth, whether they have a business or whether they work for a company. Marketers can utilize some of the strategies at Booztbrand to do so. So why are you here? This is the question that I wanted to start this webinar is by asking why you're here. Well, you're here because you want to build a successful personal brand. You want to show up as your authentic self. You're tired of staying relevant, trying to stay relevant, and you want to beat the algorithms, right? A lot of people talk about algorithms, talk about how to hack the algorithm. And one of my goals is to help you stay on top of algorithms. And also, you want to strategize and monetize your personal brands. So because you don't want to sacrifice profit. But first, I actually want to do a process of unlearning. A lot of us here, we're marketers. Some of us have years of experience in this field. A lot of us, are just starting out. A lot of us know some things about digital marketing. Some of us know, are just getting started. So I want to go through an actual process of unlearning, because building a personal brand is it's a journey of uncovering yourself, right? So before we get into this webinar, I want you to start optimizing yourself for success. I want you to start channeling the success vibrations. And what I like to do is, and the reason why I think this is so important, is because social media can be an overwhelming landscape. Like for us marketers, I'm sure Aniston, you can agree that working in social can be so overwhelming at times with new technology coming about, with AI, the uncertainty about the future. It can be a lot, and especially if you're trying to build a personal brand, something that relates to who you are as a person. I would like to focus on kind of giving you the space, maybe the next like 15 to 30 seconds, just to take some deep breaths, right? And just be in this moment right here. So just relax your shoulders and then just take 2 deep breaths like this. And the reason why you take 2 deep breaths is because whenever you're crying as a child, the natural instinct is to like you do that little sniffer, like, right? It's your body's way of calming you down, right? So, and the reason why I'm doing this is because, again, building a personal brand is not just about the tools. It's not just about the platforms. It's really about a personal experience, a personal journey that you're going to go through to build it successfully and for it to be timeless. And other ways that you can optimize yourself is by taking walks in nature. It's research has shown that taking a walk in nature, or even actually looking at nature photos, as silly as it sounds, has the ability to reduce your mental and physical stress, right? Which is extremely important. Now, again, you're coming here, you want to learn about how to build a personal brand online. Why is Kerbens talking about optimizing myself? Why is Kerbens talking about breathing exercises? Well, like I said, it's super important for you to understand how you work, how to reduce your stress levels, because when you're optimized and you're good, everything else is going to flow in the direction that you want it to go. Other practices that I won't spend too much time on this, but other practices that you can do is meditation, journaling. These things really help, especially for when we're going to look at how to create content, right? These things can really help you create authentic content that comes from the heart and not just come from AI generation. And trust me, I have nothing against AI. But again, these are going to be real content that comes from the heart. So an overview of what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to give you strategies to create a timeless personal brand, stand out as a marketer or a business owner, and I'm going to give you some secret formulas for you to monetize your personal brand, and then again also some tips and tricks, tools to assist you along your personal branding journey. So you don't need more information, right? You need focus. And the reason why I say, and if I'm going a little too fast, just let me know as well too. Okay, great. um, you don't. I see in the chat that some people are from New Zealand, which is great. Welcome, welcome. But I want to let you know that you don't need more information. You actually need focus. You know, in the modern world that we're inundated with information. Meaning that if you go on Instagram, if you go on LinkedIn, if you go on any social media platform, there is information out there. But what you need in order to build a successful personal brand is focus. There's this principle. The name is escaping me. I think it's the Pareto principle. It's escaping me, but essentially, what it's trying to say is that 20% of the actions that you take usually equate to the 80% of the result. So you don't need 80% of information, right? Because then you're just kind of like overwhelming yourself. All you need is 20% of the actions that you're going to be taking, focused actions, is what's going to get you the results that you want, right? And I talked a little bit about myself earlier on, but you know, this is a personal branding class. So I'm gonna talk about myself a little bit more. So I believe that we all have a genius within us, right? And we just need the right tools to help us profit from it. And to me, that tool is social media. Wherever you are in the world, as long as you have Wi-Fi connection, you can build a personal brand. A little bit about myself. I'm 25 years old. I built my personal business online. I recently left my 9-to-5 job working in the government to pursue working at Booztbrand full time, and I generate 95% of my monthly inquiries from social media without ad spend. Now, there is a place and time for ads. I'm not bashing ads. I love ads, but most of my inquiries for my business have been organic, and it has been through building a personal brand. I turned my photography and video passion into a 6-figure production company where I'm from, and I achieve a 5-figure monthly income within 60 days of launching my new offer about personal branding. And essentially my mission is really to help creators, founders build their online personal brands so they can experience kind of like similar results. So I want to get businesses, I want to get you as a marketer, as a entrepreneur, I want to get you to think about, to go back to your core, right? Personal branding is the key to survival in the modern world. And I truly say that with conviction, because I'm not the only one thinking about personal branding. Like, some of the world's top CEOs are investing in their personal brands. When we think about people like Elon Musk, right? We know Tesla, right? But I know Tesla has like advanced like AI that can self-drive, but I don't think Tesla can talk, right? Like, I don't think you can talk to, you can go to a Tesla car and start speaking, and the Tesla is going to respond to you, and you're going to feel that connection. Maybe you do when you drive. The experience is great, but Tesla has a face, and that face is Elon Musk. And Musk knows that by building a personal brand, it's going to allow his business to thrive, not just for Tesla, but for all the other explorations that he's going to try out later down the line. When we think about somebody like Dwayne Johnson, he's an actor, yes, but he also owns a tequila brand, right? And he uses himself to promote that. So again, if you're a business owner, you're using your personal brand, your story, your mission to promote a project, which we're going to get into it, what that project looks like. What is that project? And we can think like people like Richard Branson and so many other people are talking about personal branding. So why is this important, right? Why is personal branding so important? Well, the network and the relationships that you get to build. And also there's something called parasocial relationship, which is essentially, which is when you see somebody online, you feel like you know them, right? You feel like they can be they're your best friends. I've had experiences where, just going down the local Walmart, and somebody would come up to me and say, "Hey, like, I love your dog Kodak. I have a dog named Kodak." And I'd be like, "Wait a second, like what? Like, how do you know about Kodak?" That person feels that connection to me because they were able to see my content online. And that's how powerful it is. But that's not it is a relationship, but that's called a parasocial relationship. And then also the personal brand gives you the chance to profoundly connect with your inner desires, right? Again, I want to disconnect you from the traditional things that are being taught about marketing. Like, again, you're a marketer, you're an expert, you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing. But when it comes to personal branding, this is a chance for you to really connect with yourself. And then you can also build a business and a life with purpose and create. I missed the E here, but essentially that's meant to say create purposeful content. So at the foundation, what a personal brand does, it allows people to know, like, and trust you. And I would even go as far as saying you want people to love you, right? Especially when you're thinking about building a brand, and you know when you're sharing perspectives that might not align with other people's perspective. You want people that are cheering for you. You want a community that are cheering for you, that are there for you, that are going to love you. And when you do, speak up, speak your mind, they're going to be there to support you. So that at the foundation. If you don't get anything else from this webinar, just remember that a personal brand is built for people to know, like, and trust you. And it's not selfish to build a personal brand. It's actually selfless, right? When you do, like the exercise that we did at the beginning, when you take that time for yourself, when you optimize yourself, optimize your brand, essentially, you can show up for your target audience. You can show up for the people that you are helping and you are serving. So let me break it down. So a personal brand, so personal, right? Our stories, experiences, challenges, situations, locations, ethnicity, values, identity. All these things are what it encompass, like embodies the personal. And when it comes to the brand, A brand for me is a set of ideas, beliefs, and values that are universally recognized and accepted, right? And other definitions of a brand is, it's defined as something that stands out from the rest, you know. So it could be referred to as a product or a service that can easily be marketed and is easily recognized by people. So when we think about a brand, we think as something like Nike, for example. As soon as you see the Nike logo, you're like, oh, that's Nike, because it's universally recognized, right? So when you're building a personal brand, you want to think about it as your personal stories, the sets of ideas and beliefs that you have coming together. And that is essentially what the foundation that you're going to be using to build your personal brand. Now, how do you build a community of people who love you for you? Well, one of the things I love recommending to the clients that we work with is do not start with the business in mind, meaning that don't think about it from a monetization standpoint. It doesn't mean that you cannot monetize your personal brand, which we're going to dive into here in this webinar, how to do that. But instead, I always encourage the people that we work with to foster a desire to genuinely help and serve others. And the reason being is when you think about what a business actually does, the goal for a business is actually to serve and to help other people. So the goal for your personal brand is to build a brand that is serving and helping other people. This is actually when you start with that framework, that frame of reference, content creation becomes extremely easy for you because it's coming from the core. It's coming from a place of wanting to see somebody else achieve success in whatever capacity, with the products that you're selling, with the services that you're providing. It always has to start from a um, genuine want to help and serve other people.
I think
Now,
with personal, oh,
yeah,
sorry. I was
no,
just
go
going
ahead.
to say,
Sorry.
with personal brands too, people have this idea of, I don't have anything to sell. I don't have a product. I don't have a service. And I think, not saying that, you kind of like that's, I think that is a secondary part to it. And having your story and having kind of nailing down, okay, what are, like you said, your values? What are your passions? And ultimately, how do you want to live your life? I think the products or the services or the brands you work with will align down the road as you start to, form your personal brand, and you'll maybe work with a brand and start to, promote their products and something that you use day to day, or create your own. I think you'll obviously get into this with the project, but that part is so important. Of you don't need to have something to sell right away.
Absolutely. You nailed it right on that. You know what I'm saying? I don't even need to be here, to be honest. No, that was great. And I do agree. Absolutely. When you're building a personal brand that comes from the heart, you're now in the position to work with the people that are in alignment with you, the
Mhm.
brands that are in alignment with you, the products that you use on a day-to-day basis. If you are, a UGC content creator, if you are, a marketer, you're working with the companies that are in alignment with the way that you want to live your life, right?
Mhm.
Great point. So, uh, back in, I think it was May of last year. Okay, I suffered a concussion. Okay, not the greatest of stories. I suffered from a concussion. This is where I would be. You see that room? I would be at the physical therapist's office like once a week, seeing them. Massaging my neck. It was just like not the greatest of time, and I was off of work um, for a while. The only cool thing about, I would say about the concussion is the cool glasses that I got to wear, right? I got to wear these cool blue light glasses for whenever I was using my phone, and I think that was like one of the coolest thing. But what I did, what happened was, um, during that process, I realized that, like, I love candles, right? That's something that I'm very passionate about. Like, if you come to my house, you will see candles almost everywhere. So
They're
I
the best.
realized that, yeah, I realized that every time I work, I have a candle like lit right next to me, and that brings me a lot of like, peace, a sense of relaxation. And I was like, huh, that's pretty cool. Like maybe I should make some candles, right? And it was out of like a genuine curiosity. I just like, how do people make candles, right? And so I just, went on my story one day and I said, hey, like, candles, like I expressed and I told my audience about, my exact thought process. Like I love candles and it brings me peace. It brings me joy. Like I just told them about that story. And then I had another thought. I was like, huh, what if, and I wasn't working around that particular point in time. I was still working my job, but I was on sick leave. I was like, huh, what if I made candles and sold candles, right? I was like, oh, like maybe I could, right? So what I did was I, I surveyed my audience to see who would be interested in actually, purchasing a candle from me if I were to create a candle. But let me like so during my concussion period, I was documenting that process as well too, which is letting people into your world, which is a component of building an authentic personal brand, letting people into your the struggles, the wins, the successes in your life, the things that you're overcoming. So at that particular point in time, I was overcoming a concussion. I shared that experience. I had the candle idea. I wanted to share that experience, and I said, hey, let's see who would, and I was documenting that process. I was saying, hey, like, like I ordered the stuff like to make the candles, right? It just arrived at my door. Like, like I'm just kind of just having a good time with it. And then, unbeknownst to me, a lot of other people loved candles as well too, right? So I had a lot of engagement from people that wanted to say, hey, like I said, and I asked the audience, right? And this is another way to gather information from your audience as to what they want to see,
Mhm.
right? You're building a personal brand and you're starting out and you're like, I don't know what kind of content I should be posting. I don't know, what my audience wants to hear me talk about. Well, you can survey them. You can ask them, hey, like, what do you want to hear from me? What can help you in your day-to-day process, right? So, anyways, I asked them, hey, like, if I made candles, would you buy them? They said, I had like it was a poll and I said, heck yes, I love candles or I'm not a candle person. And a lot of people said, heck yes, I want a candle. So um, I don't have the photo here, but essentially I was in my shed during the summertime just making candles, like just documenting that process. And what ended up happening, I had over 200 candle orders, like orders for candles. And I actually didn't go through with actually monetizing it and starting the business because I was like, oh, I need to think about a supplier. I need to, it's going to
Yeah.
like, you know what, guys, I'm actually scrapping the project, right? But that experience, what it taught me was when you're starting something, when you're starting a project, from the heart, out of curiosity, out of passion, and you're leading with that, if you know the proper strategies, you can monetize whatever product or service, right? And if I don't know what your interests are, if you're trying to start a candle business, here's a model and survey your people and see if they're interested, right? But this is kind of like a personal experience that I wanted to share. So, um, and if you have any questions, if feel free to, I'm really passionate about this stuff. So sometimes I'm like, go, go, go. So if you have any questions, just let me know. So there's a strategy that I came up with that can help you, anybody under personal branding journey. And I'm willing to share kind of you can grab your pens and papers and kind of do this strategy, or I'm also willing to put together a document that you can just like fill in, um, on your own time. So this 2 4s can really help you start your personal branding strategy. And the reason why I call it a 2 4s is because it's 2 quadrants and there's 4 squares in the in the quadrant, right? Plain and simple. But essentially, the first quadrant is the business and the brand, right? Um, and in the first square is to identify the project, the business that you're and the project is essentially the business that you're in. So, and you want to answer these questions. Why did you start the business? What is your core purpose? And in the second quadrant, we have the vision. Where do you want to take this business? in 5, 10, 15 years? Where are you taking this project? In the example of the candle that I gave, right? The project was the candle. Like I was like, oh, maybe I could start a candle making business that can help like people that are like me that like to work with a candle next to them, that can help them, right? So like where did I want to take it? Well, I just wanted to kind of see what can come out of it. But the third quadrant of the first four is to identify what your values are, right? This is super important because as technology is changing over time, right? What you don't want happening is you don't want to compromise on your values, on the things that you hold dear to you. So you want to write them down, and your core values. Like it could be authenticity, creativity, integrity, tenacity, quality, right? So as your brand and your project is advancing, you don't want to lose sight of these things. And then the brand rep is, what do you want to be known as? How do you want to be positioned as within the space of candle making or yoga instructing, right? I see somebody mentioned that they're a yoga instructor. That's
Mhm.
awesome. What do you want to be known as? Now, the second four is the audience in the market. And this is basically the two elements that you need. You need to understand what your business is. Then you need to understand what your audience is and the market that you're serving. So it doesn't matter if you are, a marketer that's working for a mom and pop business, or a marketer working for yourself, or somebody, a coach, a consultant. At the foundation, the two fours can really help you to kind of start on your personal branding journey. And I'm going to get into that even more in the next couple slides. But the second quadrant is your ideal client, right? Like Aniston mentioned, like, when you start kind of doing this personal branding journey, you get to align yourself with people and that share the same core values as you, brands that share the same values as you, clients that share the same values as you, working for an organization that share the same value as you. And the great thing about a personal brand is that it gives you the power back, right? Even if you're working for a company, when you start to work on your personal brand, you can identify things that are not in alignment with where you're trying to go in your ideal world, right? So then within the second square of the two fours is the problem. What is that problem that your target audience is experiencing? So I'm going to share, for the sake of time, I'm going to go to the next slide, but
Mhm.
essentially I'm going to share this with you, and you can do this exercise, but just answering these questions, that's going to give you a lot more clarity. Like I mentioned, it's not about getting more information. It's about being clear on the information that matters.
It's a perfect roadmap to get started too.
Okay, great. Oh, I'm glad you like it. That's awesome. So, everything when it comes to personal branding starts with the self, right? And if you look back at the two fours, if you're building a business, um, you know, great. If you're building a business, you can kind of use this for your business, but also use it for your personal brand as well too. Um, but everything starts with the self. And here are some action steps that you can take. And basically, I talked about them in the two fours, which is identify your core values, right? What do quality, tenacity, honesty, and also what you want to identify is your area of expertise. Every time I hop on a call with a client, I always ask them, "What's your superpower?" Right? What's that thing that, like, man, you're so good at it? It's like it's undeniable that that's you. That's who you are. Right? Write that down. Don't focus on your weakness. Like just write that thing that you're really, really good at. And then write your why. Because again, it's gonna be challenging. You're gonna get to a certain point where you're like, man, like, they just launched a new social platform. Oh, I gotta learn this all over again. No, because once you have your core, right, it's all about applying the frameworks over and over again,
Mhm.
right? Oh, and I love somebody mentioned authenticity. Yes, authenticity is going to get you super, super far, right? Some people might not like you for authenticity, but the right people will love you. Now, so we talked about the self. Now we want to talk about the audience. When you're building a personal brand, you want to understand your audience, your customers, your clients as the hero, and you're just the guide guiding them through their journey, right? And this is not something that came from me. This is actually something that came from Donald Miller. And I actually during social media marketing world, I spoke to Dr. JJ Peterson, which has done a lot of research on kind of like narrative storytelling, and this is kind of like where a lot of these concepts come from. But essentially, you are the guide, not the hero, right? In your personal branding journey, you're thinking about when it comes to your audience, they're the hero. You're just helping your audience go through their journey. You're giving them the tools. You're equipping them or equipping them with the products and the services that's going to make their lives easier as they navigate through this journey, right? So I want you to kind of like reframe your mind and think about it in that sense. So here are some action steps to engage your target audience effectively. So identify that person, define who that target audience is, consider their life stage, where they at, what does their typical morning look like. If you want to get like really nitty gritty, you can think about, what are they having for breakfast? I don't know. Like if you're, if you're selling, nutritional products, you can think about what are they having for breakfast? Like, is this, just think about that journey for them and think about, okay, what is my hero doing in this particular instance? Right? What are some of the challenges that my hero might encounter? So that way, me as the guide, how can I help them navigate through this process? And then also determine your unique appeal, meaning um, determine what sets you apart from other people. And that's the power of personal branding, is that what sets you apart from other people is you, your unique experiences, your unique situation, your unique background, your perspective on the world. And that's why even if somebody else has the same product as you, literally, if you open up a coffee shop, like at this, like let's just say you open up a coffee shop at like this particular location, and somebody is like, "Yo, I'm gonna open up a coffee shop right next to yours." Well, they're gonna copy your sign. They might even steal your name, right? They might even steal your name. But the thing that's gonna separate and that's gonna dictate whether or not you get customers is you. Nobody else can be like you. Nobody else is you. That's your superpower there. So I want to talk about the touchdown framework. And the reason why I talk about the touchdown framework is I used to play football. It's the easiest way for me to explain this. Hopefully I can get the point across. Otherwise, I'm just going to scrap this whole entire presentation. So essentially, this touchdown framework is your target audience is A in this particular end zone. This is where they are. This is where your hero is. And they're in pain here. They're confused, maybe they're getting acne and they're like, I don't know how to fix this, right? Or like they want to build a personal brand. He's like, well, I don't know where to start. This is where they are. They're in pain, they're confused. And what you're going to do as the guide, your solutions, the products, the services that you provide is going to get them to their desired outcome. So they're not buying your service, right? They're buying the transformation that your service, your products and your service is going to do for them. So never think about your service to be like, this special thing. It's like, no. Your service is what they're buying. What they're buying is actually the transformation. So people buy transformations, not just your products. So don't focus on selling the features, sell the outcome for them. What's going to happen for them once they buy your 101 zit remover? I don't know. Like, what are they? They're gonna feel more confident, right? So when you're writing your copy, when you're writing your social media content, think about the outcome. How are they going to feel once they have bought my solution? How are they going to feel after they've been into my yoga studio, right? How are they going to feel after they interact with me?
I think
Yeah. Go ahead.
taking your personal feelings and emotions, you can relate it back to yourself of how do I feel when if how did I feel struggling with acne and overcoming that and knowing how it feels, when you're in that and feeling self-conscious, or how did I feel before and after I walk into a yoga studio, and how has it transformed my life? And obviously, since you are the brand, the person behind this, taking those emotions that you feel, because the people who are following you and your audience, reminding them that they're not alone, that this is something that you went through as well. So connecting those two.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, because I'm reminded that when I shared my experience about my concussion, a lot of people kind of opened up to me, but hey, like I suffered a concussion as well too, and
Mhm.
some of the symptoms that I was experiencing, not just from the physical symptoms, but being like alone in like this dark room, not being able to kind of use my
Yeah.
cell phone or my laptop for extended period of time, is they felt that isolation, right?
Mhm.
So, exactly, you've nailed it right on the head again, again. So now, okay, how do you craft your offer? How do you craft your value statement? So if you're looking at your bio for whatever social media platform that you have, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and it's looking empty, and it's not communicating what it is that you would like it to communicate. Well, this portion of this masterclass can help you craft, at least a offer. So whenever, or a value statement, so whenever somebody asks you, hey, what do you do, right, you know what to answer, and that answer can hopefully lead to a positive outcome for yourself and for that person, because we're here to serve and we're here to help. So so this is called a so that statement. And essentially, what you want to do is you want to, because you understand who your target audience is now, and because you did the action steps, right? What you want to plug in who it is that you're helping here, and the issue or the problem that you're helping them with. And as you get a little bit more advanced, and I'm sure, again, a lot of you on here are marketers, you've probably done this dozens of time. And I mentioned to Aniston as well too, I said, if you've already seen this before, this is confirmation that you're on the right track. Like like I've when I went to social media marketing world, there's some presentations that I saw that I was like, oh, like, like I've know a lot of these concepts already, but it's such a liberating feeling to know that, oh my gosh, like, ooh, other people are thinking the same thing, other experts are sharing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's just confirmation. So if you're just tuning in, I notice that somebody is just tuning in right now. Um, if you're just tuning in, this is great, because you get to build your own offer, you get to build your own value statement. So, in an example of what the I help who with the issue or the problem looks like is, I help pre-med students with MCAT scores, right? This is the problem. They want MCAT, you can even like make it like better by saying get higher MCAT scores, or with their low performing MCAT scores or something of that nature. But essentially, it's the problem, and then you want to identify who it is that you're helping um, fix that problem, and then you want to also add the outcome to you fixing that problem, right? So I help who with this problem, and then this is the outcome. So I help pre med students with their MCAT scores so they can get into med school. This is the outcome that they want. They don't really care about the MCAT. Like, I've never seen anybody say, hey, yeah, like I'm about to do this MCAT, right? And I'm super excited. Like, I don't think, like I've met some pre-med students. My girlfriend's a pre-med student, right? And I've never seen her say, hey, like, I'm super excited about um this MCAT. So anyways, but the outcome that they want is um they want to get into medical school. And then now, when it comes to the content, so when you're creating content, and I'm going to speed through this because I want to be cautious of time, because I want to give some time to ask any questions and things of that nature. But when you're creating content, you want to create content, right, that speak to the pain, the issues, the experiences. And like Aniston mentioned, think about the experiences that you've experienced too in the past, right? Um, you know, as it relates to the service, the product, the solution that you're offering, and how did you overcome that, or how did you feel? And you just write it down and you journal it. And then don't assume as well too. Always lead with curiosity. You can always ask like your target audience, hey, like, how do you feel when you like when this happened, or by not having this, how do you feel? Right? By not having this outcome, how does it make you feel? Then you can start to craft a better offer from that. So when you're creating content, it's very important to remember that there are different awareness stages, right? And usually in marketing, there's about five. Maybe there's six. Maybe one of you marketers out there can say, "Hey, no, Kerbens is it's not five. There's six or there's four, right?" But essentially, to me, there's five. Right? There's the unaware part of the stage where that particular person is unaware that there's a problem, that there's a solution that even exists.
Mhm.
Then there's somebody that is problem aware, so they're aware that that they have a problem. They don't know that there's a solution for that problem yet. They're just aware. Then there's solution aware. So like, oh man, like there is a fix for my problem. And then there's the product aware stage where they're like, okay, there is this service, this product that's available for me, right? But now it's just a matter of choosing which one is in alignment with who I am and my values. And that's why it's so important, right? To really craft your core values, because your ideal um, target audience they're actually making decisions based off of their core values, right? So if their core values are in alignment with your core values, they're most likely going to choose you, right? Just like the coffee shop example that I gave, where there's two identical coffee shops, they're probably going to choose a coffee shop that is in alignment with their core values or their identity, right? If coffee shop A, the person speaks French, and coffee shop B, the person speaks Spanish, and the target audience speaks Spanish, then they're most likely going to go into coffee shop B, because again, they feel like they can be heard. They feel like as though their voice, they're represented there. So that's why core value is so important. And the next, when you're creating content, right, this is the type of content that you want to be creating in the different stages. So for unaware and problem aware, you can create brand awareness content. So that's like, and I'll get into what that looks like. I'll get into it now. So basically telling your story, telling your stories, origin content, like why did you start your brand, the challenges that you're facing, right? So people can be like, huh, like, oh, like, I thought about this before. I never thought about that. And it starts with the curiosity. And if they already have the problem, they're like, oh, like that's interesting. Like I'd like to learn more. Right. And as you move up the stage and they're getting kind of like warmer, right? You start to create value-based content, meaning tips and tricks, that can help them out, how-tos. And then you can also do like FAQ. So if you go on Google, and you can kind of search up because they're in solution aware, they're looking for solutions for their problems. You can kind of quiz them and see what your target audience is thinking about, and then you can kind of start answering those issues that they might be facing. And then there is the product aware and most aware, which is pretty much like they're ready to buy within the next like 60 to 30 to 90 days essentially, or they've already bought something. So the lead generation and conversion content. So essentially, it's just content that shows your solution and that you're the one that can best solve their problems. And then this is universal. This right here is never going to change. And if you read the book Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, you're gonna notice a lot of key nuggets in there as well too, about building a limitless brand, a timeless brand, because a lot of these principles have been around, especially when it comes to storytelling. Because when you're building a personal brand, the big emphasis is actually that you want to spend your time here is on brand awareness, because there's a lot of other products and services that pretty much do the same thing that you're doing. So if you spend a lot of time crafting that brand, unearthing who you truly are, telling your story, right? It's super easy to kind of, get these pieces of content out. I think the most challenging part is actually the brand awareness content.
Mhm.
Right? Everything else is like, yo, it's a Google search away, it's an AI ask away, but this right here is like telling a good story is very important. But if you
Especially
want, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, especially when some people might not recognize that that issue or what they're struggling with has a clear solution or resources, or how-tos. And so, yeah, as a brand, I mean, I create a lot of copy and a lot of blog posts for our team, and it's sometimes hard to be like, what are people struggling with? What resources do they need? And kind of always providing that to, not only show, okay, we're here to help you, but we want to continue to give you that extra knowledge. And I think that's where your personal expertise comes in hand of, whatever your personal brand is, the product or the project that you're building, your expertise is going to be huge of presenting those how-tos and resources. And sometimes I think as marketers, we have that imposter syndrome of being like, I don't know everything. But then once you sit down and you're like, oh, wait, actually, I know more than I think.
Exactly. And that's what I think also, like, that's why it's super important to kind of like give these webinars a shot, right? Even if you think that like, oh, like, am I going to learn something new here? Even if that's just confirmation for you, which is really, really good.
Mhm.
When it comes to video content, oh, sorry. Thank you so much for sharing that, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So when it comes to video content structure, we already know, like, or most of us know, you know, the hook is to capture the attention. It's the same for writing content as well too. You really want to hook the audience in within the first 2 to 5 seconds of them kind of even reading your content pieces, and then you have the story and the value. I put them together here. Sometimes it's shown as separate, but I put them together here, which is essentially something that can maintain the person's interest into a piece of content that you have, and then a call to action, which is encouraging the person to take an action, right? And then here's how you create authentic content in your voice, okay? And so essentially, I've actually come up with a way better way to do this, but this is kind of like beta. Like, this is the first when I was trying to figuring it out. So essentially, you can create Google Drive folders and then just write your name and then personal brand, and then you want to create 3 subfolders, which is expertise, personal philosophies, wins and losses, just to kind of like build your momentum up as to kind of journaling your own experience, fixing, solving problems. So this is what kind of mine looked like. The journal structure, the 3 categories, the expertise, right? Kind of things that speak to your expertise, and then the philosophies is like things that you think about. Creating your own path, effective planning, things of that nature, and then wins and losses, right? So like maybe experiences that you're proud of, or experiences that you're not so proud of, that you can use later on to create your content. I've actually optimized this whole entire thing to make it much more simpler. If you have any questions, you can shoot me a message, and then I'll be able to share that resource with you. So this is the part that some people might have been waiting for. If you're a coach, if you're a business owner, how to monetize your personal brand. So remember, your goal isn't to be just an influencer. Your aim is actually to be an entrepreneur, a founder with influence, right? It shouldn't be like, oh, I just want to, like, I want to just like influence people, but for what, right? You want to build like a solid foundation, so that way you can be someone of influence. You're doing too much, you're thinking too hard. Keep it very simple. Like I mentioned earlier, when I launched a new product, I had launched a new product. I had launched a personal brand product back in August. That was the first time I launched like this product. By keeping it simple, I was able to build, this new offer to five figures a month in 60 days without a website, without a fancy logo, and just a few followers on, that particular launch page that I had created. And as you can see here, the progression from this is August, September, and then October, and then within the months of November and December, it grew 40%, and it's still growing right now from the product launch that I had through my personal brand. And one thing that, and I'm speeding up a little bit because I already mindful of time, but it's completely fine. So okay, great. So something that a lot of professionals do is they treat their social media like a repository, and you don't want to do that. Meaning that you just, oh, I just went out and I just created this graphic on Canva. I'm just going to post it on there. And you don't want to just treat it as a repository just to dump things. You actually want to have intentionality um, with the content that you're creating and the things that you're posting, because it can reap a lot of great benefits for you. And then they also focus on a lot of vanity metrics, right? Things like likes can be a good, depending on what it is that you're trying to measure. Likes can be a good indicator. Impressions can be a good indicator as to, how the account health, I guess. But when it comes to building, a business or growing, some of the vanity metrics don't really matter, right? So don't focus too much on that, and also don't focus too much on the colors and the grid, you know, because when you do, you're gonna wonder why is my business not growing? Well, because you might not be focusing on your business. You're focusing on kind of things that, yes, later down the line you can start investing time the more you get your like resources to kind of perfect it. But at the beginning, you don't need to spend too much time on it.
Mhm.
So I developed this equation that can help you monetize your brand really, really effectively. I call it a personal brand business equation. Okay, very original. Okay, so your personal brand is a business. This is a mindset that I want you to take away from this equation. Your personal brand is a business, and businesses solve problems. So therefore, you are a problem solver. Okay, so think of it yourself as, I'm a problem solver. So like you want to kind of have that approach, and this is the formula to really help you maximize your personal brand is you, so the problem solver, the business owner, plus your solution and your offer, times how many people you're able to solve the problem for, right? Your audience will generate you income. So if you're a marketer working for an agency, and your team lead, or your marketing manager is saying, hey, like, we want to generate more income, right? Well, say, hey, like, I have a perfect formula for that. The personal brand formula, which is essentially at its core, it's you, the business, the problem solver, plus the solution, the offer that you have, times how many people you can solve that problem for, will equate to your income. With this mindset, you will never, personally, it's a mindset that will unlock, you will never have to worry about how to generate leads, or not necessarily leads, but how to generate income for your business ever again, because you understand this simple framework. If I have a solution or an offer, a something that is valuable to somebody else, my target audience, all I have to do now is find where they're hanging out at by doing exercises like the 2 4s, right? Answering these questions at the beginning, finding out where they're hanging out at, and say, hey, I have something that can help you with this problem. And then you will never have to worry about income. Sorry, there's a car alarm going off. So
That's okay.
I can't go over everything today. I know this is like a lot of it was like high level, and I threw a lot at you. But what I wanted to mention is that if you're a creator, a founder, a marketer that's looking to kind of enrich their skills, and that really want to win and dominate the sphere of personal branding, whether to launch their own business or to scale the business that they currently have, what I'm actually doing is I'm actually launching a private community very, very soon. And essentially, this private community is going to equip you with everything that you need to gain that clarity. Because a lot of people, again, there's so much information out here, they just don't have the clarity that's necessary to really navigate through the journey of building a personal brand online that's timeless. To monetize their personal brand. So essentially, this community is for people that want to win at the personal branding game and learn everything, the tools, the tricks, the strategies that they need to really dominate this world, this space. So if you just go to booztbrand.com /brand boosters, you can join the wait list, and then join the wait list, and that's
How with
if
you?
you're interested. Yeah.
We just
So
dropped the link to that,
well,
so you can sign up there. But yeah, I said so that they can hang out with you.
yeah, you can come hang out. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, concerns about anything relating to personal brand. You can join the wait list and you'll get all the information about that soon. I had another page, but it's not scrolling to the other page. It was basically a thank you page. Thank you for coming to this webinar. Thank you for providing me with an ear of attention for me to speak. And hopefully, you walked away from this webinar with a takeaway that can help you launch your personal brand business or launch your trajectory towards personal branding success. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them. Or want to, ask Kerbens about any of his personal experiences. Yeah, we are all ears. But thank you. That was amazing. Lots of good, and I think just a lot of good. That gave I mean I felt that too, but I know a lot of people in the comments were saying, this is giving me kind of the more confidence. This is just clarifying, and like you said, that focus of, it's not so much of, okay, what is all this? What are all these strategies and information? What do I need? Which website and tool do I need to use? It's more of, okay, like give it back down to the basics of who you are, your story, your passions, your values. So that was great.
Thank you so much. Yes, you nailed it right on the head. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to interacting with all of you in the future, hopefully, and hopefully I see you in the Brand Booster community. Thank you to the Metricful team for this amazing experience. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
If
of
you have any
course.
questions, maybe we'll hang out for like maybe another like minute or so.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was also gonna say where people can find you. I know that
oh,
you're LinkedIn mostly, but yeah, wherever else.
yeah, so you can find me almost everywhere. I hang out like these days. I hang out on LinkedIn because I'm doing a lot of like agency work. So the time to create content, again, it goes back to the resources. If you have the resources, you can pretty much do it everywhere. But I hang out on LinkedIn. But my favorite platform is actually Instagram because of my deep love for photography and visuals. So I
Yeah,
love creating videos. So I hang out a lot on Instagram. So you can check me out on Instagram at Kerbens Boisette. It's just my name. Check me out there. But you can also check me out on LinkedIn at Kerbens Boisette. As also, yeah.
awesome. We got a question here. Someone asked, Angelica asked, if you are beginning with your personal brand, what would be your recommendation in terms of balancing brand awareness content with value-based content and lead generation / conversion content?
That's a great question. So when you're thinking about doing that, you want to understand, where your business is currently at. If you're, if you have, if you're not having any issues with kind of generating leads, maybe what you could do is you can if you're posting 5 days a week, maybe you can do 3 days where you're doing brand awareness content. So really storytelling focus, and then the other 2 days you focus on more like, lead generation content. What you don't want to do, especially at the beginning, and even later down the line, what you don't want to do is bombard people with lead gen content, because
Mhm.
what's going to do is that's actually going to diminish the trust that they have in you. So um, essentially, yeah. So that's how you kind of balance it at the beginning stages, and even as you're growing, you want to provide more value, more stories to keep people interested. Give, then ask. So I just said like 5 gives. So like give, and then one ask, and then you give, and you just keep giving, and then you will experience that return tremendously.
Yeah. I think a good way to think about it too is balancing your values and your content pillars. So, whatever content topics you're going to talk about. So, I think, choosing 3 to 5 topics. Okay, if you're a coffee shop, I'm going to talk about how you make coffee or types of coffee or why you enjoy, breaking that down, and then also sprinkling in your values is a good way to kind of diversify and mix in that content.
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, another one from Noemi. Kerbens, I have a question. Do you think it's convenient to just have one account and building the personal brand there, or talking about my design and branding business?
Okay, so I think this is a two-part question.
Hmm.
So So the first part, from my understanding, let me just reread the question one. Do you think have one account in building their personal brand? Talking about my design. Okay. Oh, okay. I think it's just one question. Okay, thanks. So essentially, what you want to do, it's all depending on the resources that you have. I always recommend to find one channel that you can dominate before moving to all the other channels. There's so many channels. If you find one channel and you just focus on that particular channel, whether it's LinkedIn because it's easier for you to write content, you're still going to find your target audience there, right? So I would recommend you have one account. Um, yeah, I think that's answering the question. It's convenient to just have one account. Yeah, and building the personal brand. Because like my understanding of the question is like, do I want to separate my personal brand and my
Yeah,
business,
the business. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Well, yes, you like I would recommend to do that only if you have an actual like business, like if you have like a corporation, for example, or an
Mhm.
LLC. If you're actually running a business and you have employees, things of that nature, you can have employees within your personal brand. But if you have a business, you can just create like a business account. But if you're like a service provider, you can use your personal brand for sure.
I
For sure.
think, yeah, you can even leverage, I mean, whatever social platform that you have currently for your personal, I think there's no harm in developing that personal brand through it because, that is your personal account
Mhm.
and that's a good place. You already have some sort of community, whether it's friends or family, and I think there's no harm in developing your personal brand because at the end of the day, your personal brand's going to be you.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
um,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay. Another one from Trisha. Do you need to have a particular niche when creating a personal brand? If so, how do you break down into one specific niche? I think I always struggle with picking just one niche.
That's a great question. So, when you look at the audience that we had spoken about at the beginning, you want to start identifying who it is that you want to serve and you want to help. Now, if you don't know who you want to serve and you want to help, well, you also have to like look at the solution and the offer that you have in general. Because if you have an offer, then you, then you can start kind of identifying who's going to need that. But if you're just starting out and you're like, oh, like I want to start this business and I don't know what my niche is going to be, I always say that the best niche is you, right? The best niche is you from 3 to 5 years ago, right? So think about if you're just starting out and you don't know what business to even start, right? Think about you from 3 to 5 years ago and problems that you experience in your life that you have created a system to solve, and then you just package the system that you've created, and then you just sell it to your old you, right? So you just package that and you sell it to your old you from 3 to 5 years ago. So that's how I would go about building a niche if you don't know what your niche is. If you're just starting out, you don't know what your niche is. But if you already have a product or a service, then do that kind of like the audience exercise as part of the two fours.
Yeah, that's great advice. Okay. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to leave them in the chat or the comments, and our team will get back to you. But feel free to also reach out to Kerbens, reach out to Metrical team on any of our platforms. And yeah, as a little thank you to everyone for staying and sticking around. If you haven't created your Metrical account, you can use the code Timeless to try any of our premium accounts 30 days for free. Just a little bit about Metrical. It's a comprehensive social media management tool. So especially when we're talking about building a personal brand, the content piece and content planning, building your marketing strategy is going to be a huge element of this. So having kind of a tool to help automate and also give you those insights, those analytics beyond the vanity metrics of how is your content performing, how are you connecting with your audience, is going to be, a huge help in your journey. And we're always here to kind of help you and guide you along in that, providing you resources. So yeah, feel free to check us out and create your account.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. The team
Yeah.
at Metrical is amazing. So tool, but I know that the team is fantastic. So check out the
Thank
tool and you'll be supported by a great team.
Thank you. Well, I hope you all have a good day. Thank you again, Kerbens. That was awesome. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.